before I actually started a game company, I was also working on VR projects back when I was in the university as well. But I didn't think that much to make VR as my own profession.
Welcome to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion.
I'm Old Man Raptor, and we got one hell of a guest today, and that is.
Who are you?
Hello, I am Negi Trotsky. Very nice to meet you.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, it's great to meet you.
Indeed. Thank you very much for
Yeah,
joining us. It's a pleasure to meet you, honestly. Oh.
yeah, it's a thrill to come here actually.
So what is it you're most known for, and how did you get into VR chat and into what you do?
So, well, recently I'm probably most famous of being the translator for Vket and all the related events. I'm mostly doing all the translation and localization work for it.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Cool.
Well, that's actually pretty awesome. What got you into VR chat and to doing translations for Hickey?
Well, it's quite of a long story. I was, at my first career, I was actually doing more of like a game program thing, and one day I kind of thought, wait, I've been doing VR chat for maybe the last 5 or 6 years, I guess. And then I thought, why not give it a shot and make myself do some JPE and translation, and then I just simply applied, and here I am.
Oh.
It's kind of sort of like a magic. Somehow I am right here.
Oh, so you were doing stuff in the game world and was what got you into VR chat, may I ask?
So yeah, I was working on some non-VR game programming, and I also one thing I need to know, I also did some translation, or maybe like in JP English communication side for shaderfes, if anybody remembers, back in 2019, I think was it? Yeah.
I've been to shaderfest. I'm familiar with the
So
world. It
that's
looks pretty
basically.
cool.
Mhm.
Oh. Oh, wow. So so from when you first hopped into VR chat, Mask, what were some of the first things you did, and what were you doing with shaderfest?
So for shaderfes, I was doing most of like the technical side support and also a few translation for the inside venues, which is sort of like an origin for what I'm also doing in the Vket venues right now, but in much more hobbyist kind of way. I was doing some technical communications with the JP side creators and also the shader creators on the western side. So it was sort of like a communication man, sort of like a mailman, I guess.
I can understand that. So, Mask, what led you to want to do translation and communications between people such as Shaderfest or for Hickey? Was there a certain thing that made you want to choose that as a path?
Yeah, so I think the mo I think the most motivation was to, since I used to live in right now I'm living in Japan right now, but back ago I was also living in the US, Michigan to be specific. I kind of was fascinated about people communicating while having language barriers, and I thought that would be one of my key careers and hobby at the same time. So um, basically, Shaderfest was kind of like the first few steps to try that, and I also felt that might be also a career. So then, well, why not start it as a professional? So um, I kind of jumped into Vket and um, took a shot. And right now, I've been doing this for maybe like a 3 years. I think this is my third year for doing Vket, the communication part for Vket.
Hmm. Okay. So, what have been some of the more memorable moments between Shaderfest and VCAT and Hickey throughout that have stuck with you in terms of like abilities to do translations or anything that has stuck with you over the years?
Hmm. Well, hmm, kind of a good question. So, like, um, if I were to recall the most memorable moments, I think it would be around, let's see. I do have a lot of memories, so it's kind of hard to pick.
It's all good.
um, yeah. Maybe back in 2024 summer when I think there was Vket Rio at an actual IRL Japan. I also did sort of like not only as a localizer but also like translator slash interpreter for the Wicked Walk. If anybody took a look at it, Wicked Walk is sort of like um a, a a portal to connect the IRL side and the VR side. And well, people in the VR chat can look at the IRL what was it Akihabara and other venues in Japan, and then at the same time expose themselves at the actual Japanese audience out there. The actual real people can see their own avatar. That sort of thing was going on. As an interpreter, I think I saw that really fascinating, and well, people in the Western side had a good look at the IRL Japan, and at the same time, also the real people in Japan also had sort of like a wow experience in using Wicked Walk. So I think that is some of my most memorable moments as doing this job, and I think it was very fascinating.
I can see why. You mentioned something earlier that I like to ask about because it seems a little interesting. You said when you were living in
Mhm.
Michigan and when you started doing translations, that people with English and Japanese were communicating without knowing the language. Would you mind elaborating a bit on what do you mean? What are some of the differences between the two languages?
Oh, so maybe like the differences between Japanese and English
Yeah,
side, I guess.
yeah, and you also said earlier that
Hmm.
you were seeing people communicate who don't really non-verbally between the two. Would you mind kind of elaborating on that a little bit as
Mhm.
well as explaining the differences?
Oh, okay. So like the non-verbal parts.
Well,
I
both.
think let's see. Kind of a hard question. So I'm kind of thinking of people and the Japanese people in VR chat, how they kind of make in Japan they have this term called mugonzei, which is people who basically communicate without speaking or writing, but just by gestures. I think it's kind of a phenomenal way. But of course they're still not speaking, but their gesture context. I think it's pretty based on the Japanese side. Sort of like they also use some maybe like resembling pictograms in that are in Japan. So like so when it's pretty it's kind of like a linguistic very complicated question. It's kind of hard to think.
Sorry to stump you with a hard question.
But yeah, yeah, no problem. This is my profession, so I need to have an elaborate answer because think number way. Let, okay, let me reinstate this. If a Japanese person and an English person meet each other without knowing their each language not very well, I think the Japanese people tend to more use more hand gestures when I'm kind of still imagining, but it's pretty. I think. Wait. So like in the VR chats, I'm kind of imagining in people in the VR chats. It's kind of fascinating that people still try to like communicate in Japanese in English gestures, and they kind of I think they kind of blend very well when it comes to nonverbal ish communication. There's not much of you know I don't I don't actually feel the need of interpreting each other's language that well. It's on a daily basis. I think people communicate very well with the nonverbal way of gesturing. So
Hmm.
Yeah. I'm not sure if this actually answers your question, but
No,
this
that's
is what I
perfect.
think of. Yeah.
No, it's all good. It's
That's
perfectly
perfectly
fine.
fine. I
You
got a,
gave,
I got a question for I got a question for you. Actually, I got quite a few questions. It's not just one. But when you were
Okay.
in the United States, what was one of the hardest words to translate from English into Japanese in your thought?
Oh, okay. Good question. So, to be honest, I've lived in the United States back when I was around kindergarten to maybe elementary, just before middle school. So my vocab's not really at that time. My vocab's not really complex. It's more I only spoke basic English that time. But let's see. Um, when it comes to so actually, I think I might have So when I went back from the United States to Japan, I kind of felt the concept of keigo, which is how to say it, a proper manner way, a formal way of speaking Japanese, very difficult. I've only been used to speaking like the informal way Japanese, more like a casual way, since I only spoke with parents and friends around. That there are very few Japanese people in the United States, of course. So I've kind of found it hard to know the Japanese formal way of speaking well Japanese, and of course vice versa. The English proper way, formal way of speaking English is, since I was an elementary student, so I didn't really know very well, and I think I kind of had to relearn both concepts of each languages before I actually started as a profession as a translator. So I think is very difficult even now today.
Okay.
It's yeah,
Okay.
you kind of
I
need
got you.
to
Makes so
relearn
amounts. What you're
aspects.
trying to say
Mhm.
is it's all of them. No matter what it is, it's hard to work one without the other. I
Exactly,
got you. I
yes.
understand. I got you.
Mhm.
I understand. And
Hmm.
my other question, I always usually keep before a line jumps in. What was the weirdest thing you ever seen in VR chat when you first came in?
Oh, weirdest thing. Let's see. I started VR chat at around 2018 March around. The first time I jumped in, I was pretty awkward and shy to talk to. Well, there weren't any friends around in VR chat since that was my first time. My first experience. I remember being spoken by a Mr. Mime avatar in what language was it? I think by Spanish or something Latin. I heard. Anything. Anyways, it was out of my vocabulary. I didn't know how to communicate. Should I say hi, konnichiwa? That was very astonishing. And yeah. After that, I kind of relearned about VRChat, how to go into JP communities, and JP communities kind of first time guide you to actually go to a community like every opening every Wednesday, or say this world, which has the beginner's guide-ish places. Um, and without that, when I first jump into the public instances and well looked at very random stuff, I was very kind of astonishing. It was mind blasting, I guess.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
You said something that kind of interested me. You said formal Japanese and formal English. Would you mind explaining what do you mean by that? There's a formal and informal parts of the language.
Okay, so how should I say it? So in Japanese, this keigo is uh kind of hard to explain. It has many concepts, but I think the most notable part is like how would you address your sentence by the end. Say like so if say 私はバス停に行きます means like I will go to the bus stop in a formal way. But also, if you were to address that to your friend, you will say maybe 私はバス停に行くよ, and the end of the sentence is changes whether you address it to somebody else. I think this concept is rather it doesn't. I think it doesn't. It's kind of hard to translate to the English part. Most animations and games I've seen don't really make much of a difference when translating Japanese to English. They both kind of blend it into the most casual way, I guess. Well, of course, it also depends on the context, but it's kind of this part. I think it's kind of hard part to think about.
Hmm. So you would use different endings of the sentence depending upon who you're addressing, like superiors or versus family members. If I'm getting that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So may I ask, what are some of the differences between the two languages, Japanese and English, may I ask, in terms of like sentence structure and how you would speak or use certain things?
Oh, good question. So before I kind of dropped by the network disconnection, I was trying to explain about the context per each sentences in both languages. And in Japanese, people kind of try to squeeze in more context per sentence, which is to maybe cut off the n- n- the now the name what was it the main subject of the target of the sentence. If it was pretty much clear, it would be cut out, or basically the main goal is, it's not the main goal, but the most tendency is to cut the sentence more shorter and shorter and make blend in more context if it were possible. In English, I think that doesn't much apply. So the sentence also always has who and what and where, well, and all those grammar stuff. They're I think they're all pretty much clearly explained. And well, when translating that from Japanese to English, you kind of need to know the of course the context, or say the proper structure if it were to be translated into English. And if you didn't know much or didn't read it properly, I think they would cause a mistranslation or like a grammatical error and put it into English. So yeah, those language differences, I think it's pretty different when comparing, say, like Spanish and English. Well, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's the most hard part.
Okay. So what are some of the more complicated things to try and translate and some of the more fun things to translate from from one to the other?
Oh, okay. So when I was translating stuff in Vket, I found the the jokes in Japanese are pretty hard to translate in English. Of course, you kind of need to know a bit more about wordplay in English as well, but also, though the jokes in Japanese don't really, well, translate well when translated to English, because, the the points where people laugh are pretty much different between Japanese and English. The audiences are also different. I think that is. I think I should have started a comedian first before going into a translation if I were to translate the jokes in Vket. But yeah, I think that's the most hard part and also the most fun part when it's been well translated and put out to the public.
Hmm. Would you mind give us an example of one of those jokes, may I ask, that doesn't really translate well?
Okay, so joke. I think some of the jokes, or maybe I should say wordplay. If if a Japanese haiku was to be in the Vket venues, well, it appears several times since the Japanese kind of use haiku quite a lot for making sort of like a witty message, or well, it basically goes well with posters, of course. But putting that to if I were to put that to the English side, I think it's kind of hard to translate. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Okay.
I can't come up of an example right now, but that and yeah,
That's okay.
yeah, there's pretty much a lot.
It's okay. So you said
Okay.
earlier that when you got involved with shaderfes and Vket Hickey in order to like start translating for people, what were you expecting the experience to be like versus what you actually experienced after starting with both?
Oh, so my expectations. Oh, well, when coming into Picky, I mean Wicked, I was kind of first expecting myself as like a full-time 100% translator, working entirely for Wicked and stuff. But in the end, I'm actually also working for more like the technical side support, and also well writing documentations and well technical stuff about exhibiting in Vket as well. That's that one thing I didn't quite expect when I first entered, but also right come to think of it, right now that is I think is also part of my job right now, and I kind of find it very fascinating, and I kind of belong to the job as well. Um, and also I kind of like writing for writing technical stuff as well. So yeah, that's
Hmm.
something I didn't expect, and yeah, also was interesting.
Hmm. So what about for shaderfes, since you helped do some translations for them as well? And how did you initially get involved with shaderfes?
So for shaderfes, I didn't quite sign up for being a staff to to make it clear. I was I was friends. I mean, the first time I first entered with the VR chat side, I was also introduced to the Japanese side, well, the furry community, if you may, for in the Japanese side. There was this place called Camel Cafe, which opens every Wednesday, if you're wondering, in JSD. Uh, and that at the place, I was also kind of taught how to play in VR chat and what's going on and so on. And I also introduced myself as well doing some JPE and stuff, and also as sort of like a programmer at that time. And then one of the friends, well, I think it was Lura-san or somebody else, but they came up to me and said, we're trying to make a shaderfest. Well, to be exactly, we say a second shaderfest, more for like the global involving the global community as well. And they needed also like a communicator and well maybe like a translator for doing the stuff to make more people involved in the shader fest. And well I kind of said, well, why not? And then I started doing that for the shader fest as well. So
Okay.
yeah, sort of like it's sort of like an inner community project, but also it's sort of like a weird way. I kind of exposed myself to the global community as well. So that was my start.
Oh wow. So, may I ask, would you mind explaining what shaderfes is, and what was it like when in the first shaderfes and the second one, if you were there for it? Would you mind? What was it like when it ran?
So Shaderfest is basically sort of like a showcase for people who write shaders for VRChat and in Unity. Well, shaders, of course, for avatars and also for shaders for um well making technical and fancy presentations, particles, not using particles, but entirely by computation, and well, sort of like a showcase slash museum for all those. And the first shaderfes back, I think it was in 2018 or 19. I kind of forgot the exact timing, but the first one was, I think it was more open for like the Japanese developers and shader creators, and that also went out very well, and a lot of people visited the first shaderfes and saw a lot of fancy stuff. It's also, I think it's still also in public right now. I haven't really checked it, but and given that the second shaderfes was open for not only for like the Japanese creators, but also make it a bigger one, and uh, for the Western and of course the global creators as well. And yeah, in the end, I think it became a bigger and a grander exhibition of shaders. So yeah, that's one. I think it's still open as well. So I think that also ought to be taken a look.
Hmm. A friend of mine actually took me through the shaderfest worlds before, and down
Really?
lyric he works with he does the Vrchat's traveling circus, and he was taking me through, showing me a bunch of the cool things there. So I'm actually quite interested to hear what it was
Oh.
like when it actually ran. Well, did you have an experience doing coding or shaders, anything before? Or was like shaderfest and that community the first you've interacted with that kind of thing?
Oh, well, be honest, I didn't write any shaders, or I actually can't right now. So um, but still, I also back when I was doing some game programming as well as a career, I kind of learned the basics of the shader, what is about and how to make a shader, the basics. So
Hmm.
that knowledge, I think, went very well for communicating with the shaderfest creators, and also for working as a technical support in Vket. People also make stuff for make shaders for exhibiting in Vket as well. So um, I kind of still use that knowledge to communicate with them in the daily basis. So yeah.
Hmm. So
I had a question, Line.
what?
I had a question. Don't lose yours. Um, Knowing when you first started VR and stuff like this, how big? We hear it a lot here in the United States that over in Japan, VR is very big. How did it when it
Mhm.
took off? How hard did it take off over in Japan? Did it slowly take off, or did it just go ape?
Um. Well, I think there's many studies about how VR became bigger in Japan. What started all the VR boom, or like the population increase in Japanese for the Japanese community? My experience was back in 2018. I saw like the first VTuber boom, say like Niji-sanji, the first time Niji-sanji or Hololive appeared, and also um, Nekomasu-san and all these individual VTubers. They also not only they started in involving in their own creations in the live 2D or like their own 3D avatars, but they also um kind show the glimpse of what Vrchat is about, and I saw it very interesting and kind of started jumping in. First time I didn't use any VR equipment or anything, but back in 2018, I think that was like the first boom for the JP community. And right now there's actually sort of like a second or maybe third boom of populations right now, since a lot of streamers and of course Vket is kind of increasing the population as well. So I think there's kind of a several timing or um the impacts to the community that has been kind of increasing the Japanese community. And yeah, I think there's a lot of people having their own backgrounds. So I think I found it very interesting.
Hmm.
So,
Oh, okay.
Okay. So with your background before, as you said, you found you got into VR through the game company you worked with. What was VR chat or seeing VR from that lens? What was it like when you first popped in? What were you expecting from working in a company like that when coming here, seeing people make worlds non-professionally and how things looked? What was your take on the whole experience?
mm. So on so back when I was in actually like a more professional, a way more bigger game studio slash company, VR, I think it wasn't well back in that day. I think it was more seen as more like a hobbyist kind of um yeah a hobbyist kind of projects and stuff going on, and people, I think they at least my company didn't take it that much seriously, and they weren't kind of, I think they weren't quite aware what was going on, to be well, to be honest. Of course, there were PSVR, the first PSVR, and of course VR chat was existed at that time, back at that time, but come to think of it, I myself didn't quite think that much about creating stuff in VR is that much interesting, or maybe to make it make it less fancier, maybe not that much lucrative,
Hmm.
I would say, if I were to be in a company. But well, right now people are kind of still people are kind of getting involved into VR, so I think there's been quite a big difference about the economic side in VR and, well, the game industry as well. So yeah,
Hmm.
I think a lot of things have changed.
Hmm. So what about your experience in VR changed your mind on the whole wanting to take it a bit more serious? Since you're now working with a company that does stuff in VR, like Hickey.
Exactly, yes.
How has VR changed your mind on that? Maybe using this AI would be fun.
Hello, user. You appear to be searching for the Metaverse dot.
Oh, great. I think it's broken. You know the link. Just look at metaversedegen.card.co. There should be something over there for you to enjoy.
Lion and Raptor. Consume content. Join the cult.
Did it just say cult? Okay. Yeah, no, we're cutting this before this gets weird. Just go to the link. You know it's right down there somewhere. All right. Bye.
And a huge thanks to those who have subscribed to our Patreon, such as Niche, Feature Oracle, Aliquum, Forbidden Zero, and Frozen. Thank you all very much for being there.
Well, so I started VR back. Let me consider. Um, so before I actually started a game company, I was also working on VR projects back when I was in the university as well. But I didn't think that much to make VR as my own profession back at that time, and thought maybe working on like the bigger audience, say like the consumer games and games on Switch and, well, PS4, fives, and that places would be more of a career, and say I I might I might get some more experience working on that. But um, after that, when I actually started being more involved in Vrchat, well, notably more in shaderfes and hobby projects, I kind of found that many people are really serious in VR, and they've been working on the their own, well, their own projects, not only for like more money or for like um for actual material reasons, but I think they also started working on, they've been working on their own motivation and their own enthusiasm. So I was kind of, well, kind of driven by that, and thought maybe I should do the same as well. And yeah, how to think of it? Yeah, I think that's pretty much the main reason. I've kind of been drifted into this kind of hemisphere as well.
I can very much empathize with the whole not taking Vrchat seriously. Then you're dragged around to a bunch of cool things, and then the wonder of the experience, like, whoa, this is a giant hologram thing. What? And you kind of go off on the whole adventure. I can empathize with that. I had a similar experience. So,
Yeah.
cool. What were some of those things that kind of captivated you, that made you want, that you were shown, as you said, through the people making these own enthusiasms? What were some of those things that captivated you?
Let's see. Well, of course, shaderfes. I think that experience was pretty much one of my big stuff, and other stuff. Let's see. Maybe like Vket itself and all the previous events and creators in that exhibition as well. I kind of found it very interesting as well. And what else? Well, it's kind of hard to remember since I've seen quite a lot of content. So maybe I would say the entire amount of contents created every day would be probably fascinating. It's kind of endless. Well, consumer games, they only kind of release each season, or well, of course, when you count indie games, there's much more. But when you're in VR chat, you have tons of new content and people creating new stuff every day. And I think they sort of like the biology of people creating inside a VR community is, I think it's pretty interesting and also, well, surprising as well.
Mm,
So kind of thoughts,
Okay,
being in one of that biology or atmosphere would be pretty interesting as
mm,
well.
okay.
I got some Formula One. And all the time that you in here, do you have a favorite world that you enjoy the most, knowing there's so many of them, and does that world keep bringing you back to go keep going, to keep seeing it and see if they've changed it or anything like this?
Oh, okay. Favorite world. If I were to say recommend one world to say like a new beginner, I think I might choose the Blue Palace created by Ekochin. Well, Ekochin is one of my close friends of mine, but um well, I've kind of seen through the full development of the Blue Palace itself, from like the first prototypes to like the actual or the final version, what we see right now. And I think it went through a lot of um riffraffs and also put in this and remove it away. And the development process was pretty interesting. And if I were to make someone um if I were to recommend a world to a VR beginner who's kind of wondering what worlds they would want to make, or maybe, well, basically just join in some like a chill world, I think Blue Pass would be my best, or maybe the top thing that will pop in my head. So yeah, I think that's the most memorable one.
Hmm. Okay. Um, you
Okay.
based pick up something you said earlier. I don't will lead to the question: how different is the creator communities in JP and the every and, like, for example, America or the Western worlds? Are the creator communities different, like how they interact with VR chat or how they build or communicate with one another?
So I think one of the most notable differences would be the culture of editing your own avatar. Um, uh, I'm not exactly an expert of avatar editing or like the actual economy. And this is from my own opinion, but um, in Japan, people tend to change their avatar, their clothes and outfits quite a lot, like every month, or maybe if enthusiastic every week, perhaps. They kind of change and also buy the 3D assets of outfits and of course their avatars as well quite often. And this phenomenon, I think, caused the entire reason why Vket first started, and also the related economy as well, the avatar culture. I think this is pretty much originated from Japan, and um this also influenced it. I think it also influenced the English community as well. From what we see now at Vket, there's been a lot of avatar creators as well, and yeah, I think that influence. But still, I think the editing culture, the avatar editing culture, is pretty different from Japan and the other Vrchat community. So um, for what I right now see at Vket, I think we need to kind of acknowledge the difference and sort of improve Vket to um make each um basically um we want to know more what the English community would probably do with their avatar if they were to maybe like edit their avatar. What would they want, or maybe if they wanted something else, well, what would they want? So I think that difference is pretty much a challenge for, well, not only Wicked for but for other um avatar and creators in Japan if they were to sell it to eh, the non-Japanese communities. So yeah, that difference is pretty big and pretty much, well, not ignored, but less seen when in the Japan side. So yeah, that I think we need to be aware of that as well.
Okay. So on the thing as well, I know VCAT has had a VCAT Reel recently. How did that go with VCAT Reel, and what was attendance like, and what were some of your favorite parts of the event that took place?
So for Wicked Real, of course, it was all the Wicked Real events so far has been only in Japan. So
Hmm.
we had quite a lot. We of course had a lot of Japanese people come in and visit, but I also saw quite a few people from outside Japan, which is, well, pretty much surprising since geography and other issues. But um I think they kind of visited Wicked Rio for not only for because they are a Wicked fan, but also they wanted to meet some people in Japan, their own friends in Japan, and just have a fun time, or, well, many other reasons might exist. But I think that thing. I think that was pretty much surprising. Since Vket and also Vrchat actually, well, connected people in IRL. So I think that was pretty much fascinating.
Okay. So are the VCAT in VRChat and VCAT in Japan IRL, are the two conventions similar in how they function and present themselves, or are they sort of different? And if so, what are the similarities and differences between the two mediums?
Hmm. So I think the virtual Vket and Vket Real, I think they're both kind of have the common goal to, well, make an exhibition from the virtual community and economy as well, and to expose it to the virtual economy, the community, and, well, people who are interested in it. The Wicked Real side, I think, so far has been also been a showcase for people who didn't much know about virtual side that much. They haven't visited VRChat at all, but or just kind of walked in and to see what's going on. And I think that this became sort of like a casual way to let people know about the virtual community and economy as well. So I think the audience is pretty much different.
Mm.
Get Real has a lot of people who didn't know VRChat or anything at all, and I think quite a lot of people maybe have started VRChat from experiencing Get Real, or well maybe um so yeah, I think that's the biggest difference.
Mm.
Audience, the audience is different, and then I think We Get Real should kind of make it more open to the non-virtual community to perhaps expand the virtual side and make stuff more interesting, and we might have some wacky stuff in the future as well.
So I have one question as well, based on you saying people who have never been in VRChat before experienced it for the first time in Vket
Mhm.
Real. What were some of those experiences, if you've got to witness any of them? Someone like seeing the virtual world through a headset for the first time, or experiencing the virtual world in some way, shape, or form. Did you get any? Ex- did you have the ability to see anybody experience that yourself?
So yeah. So when I was kind of being an interpreter for Wicket's walk and also other the attractions activities in Wicket Rio, I've kind of saw a few people having their first experience interacting with the virtual side. They didn't know anything about VTubers or VR chat or nothing at all. And well, every people seeing this so far was pretty surprised or maybe astonished or maybe culture shocked. They start, well, most people start with an what is this kind of reaction, and yeah, it's pretty fun. People are, well, they don't um people who see the virtual contents for the first time, they are also surprised, but they don't, of course, they don't reject what they see so far right now. And I see that's very fascinating. Yeah, virtual with the
Okay.
so yeah, I think Wicked Real became sort of like a good start for people who didn't know the virtual the virtual contents yet, and yeah, so far I think we did a pretty good job at that.
So, how would you explain VRChat to someone who's never been? And would you explain it differently to someone who's like a common Joe or a company, or would you give them the exact same explanation?
um, I think the explanation or the definition of VR chat might differ from the speaker and also the audience, or if I were to explain it to like a common Joe or like a company boss, the explanation would pretty much be different. For like the common Joe or maybe like me myself, if I were to start playing VR chat, maybe VR chat would be a place for meeting new people and well people with um the common hobbies or like the enthusiasms, and well basically a place for people to connect would be my own definition of VR chat. And for people in like the for like talking about the corporate side or the business side of VR chat, I would pretty much explain it as sort of like a place for like people, a place for changing the how should I put this, the people, maybe like the reaction to the IRL sides using the virtual experience, I would say. So
Mm.
well, has been pretty much a big theme about Vket so far. Since a lot of sponsors, corporate sponsors, has been exhibiting in Vket. And I think the influence, the experience of what people have seen at Vket became, well, like a huge impact for the actual economy, or say if sort of like a drink company would advertise their own drink and we are using like a game, um, people would also see the play the game and also see the advertisement and the the exhibition, and would actually change what would they also daily buy at the local supermarkets or so. This I think this way of advertising stuff through interaction hasn't been. I think this is very unique and also very new, I guess. And I think that this will be a bigger phenomenon in the coming few years. Well, if I were to expect. So
Okay.
yeah, this is pretty much big.
So I actually do have a question. With a lot of those sponsors and like over in like those sponsor worlds for VCAT, what were those companies' responses to seeing VCAT and the people running about and all of that? What was their reaction to seeing everything? May I ask? Because yeah, I'll leave it there before I make it more complicated.
Okay, so like the reaction from the sponsor side,
Yeah,
if I
yeah. From the
as
sponsors and people who are helping fund VCAT
okay,
in those first couple of worlds, like the drink company you mentioned, or
yes,
some of the other ones like Toyota and stuff like that, when they came in and did that. If you had the pleasure of seeing the response to VCAT, how did they take to it and VRChat and their whole experience here?
Good question. It's a good question because I've been working full remotely and didn't actually see the sales side, like the sponsor people in real life, or no by virtual, but one thing, I actually met with a salesperson in, where was it, back in Wicked Trio, and when we were exhibiting inside health appliance, where they sell, VR headsets, PCs, and well, a lot of fancy stuff. Um, as we kind of made an exhibit in, or sort of like a portal of VR chat and the IRL side, one of the salesperson, the sales clerk, and the RL shop side, I think they found it very interesting. And actually, most of the sponsors, all like non-Vket people associated with Vket, well, the Vket itself was pretty much their first time experiencing VR, and they kind of been very surprised, of course. And I think they're not, well, setting business aside, most people are pretty much astonished, and also, well, maybe they might have tried VR chat by their own, and you know, people are very interested. I would say. Yeah,
Okay.
so that's pretty much that pretty much describes the interaction.
Well, thank you very much. And another question for you as well. When you first bought the headset and popped in, did you expect the journey you've been on and and the direction you've went since you bought and put on the headset and came here? Did you expect any of this journey from at all?
Actually, I didn't expect anything at all. I just, well, I of course started just VR chat just for fun, and well, didn't kind of think I would actually make a living out of making VR content and until today. And yeah, it's been quite, oh yeah, it's been pretty crazy being here as well, and very unexpected.
That is, I feel like most people who come into VR chat never really expect where they'll end up. Because one thing we've heard a lot from a lot of people is I came here, I met a person, that person enthusiastically dragged me somewhere like a rave. And the next thing you know, a year and a half later, they're DJing, they're playing at ShelterCon, they're doing some other crazy stuff that they never expect at all. Some people like yourself even have careers out of their experience. I think Vrchat's immensely unique in that aspect, where you come in expecting one thing and leave with
Yeah,
another.
yeah. I think I know quite a lot of Vket staff. The people who create stuff for Vket, and they say that they back like say like an year or two ago. I didn't know very much about didn't play VR at all, but then I met some person and they were making some interesting stuff and thought maybe I should create this for my own, and the story goes on, and including this kind of story, or say being influenced by other people's enthusiasm, it kind of applies for my own experience as well. And yeah, I think that's something what makes VR chat and of course VR communication unique. You kind of meet with new people and then kind of become influenced, and you can also create your own stuff as well. And I think that's pretty much fascinating. I said.
I agree. It is one of the most fascinating things, and I always enjoy hearing people's stories. Like, what was that first person that took you from a black cat to where you are now? Like, I enjoy those stories. Hearing people like enthusiastically talk about this trash can who said they were a DJ, brought them to a world, and now they're making shaders. They're just it's always such a big and fascinating story about how many times you tell it. Oh.
Yeah. I do also have a lot of people who influence what I am right now. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm very grateful for the people as well. And one of my reasons I started making stuff for Vket was maybe like make sort of like a contribution, or maybe make I'm not like directly buying them a coffee, but maybe making their living a bit better by Vket. I think that would be what I would want to achieve by doing this career as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, what were some of those? Who are some of those people that influenced you, and what were those interactions like that to lead you where you are? Who were your guides?
Well, I wonder. Maybe some of the guides are the staff in shaderfes. I think they kind of make me look what I'm creating in VR is like, and what's the actual profession, or what they. Of course, shaderfes is sort of like a hobby project, but I think the same amount of passion is the same for what they create as a professional living in. And yeah, that kind of influenced me to making stuff at VR. And also I do have some people that pop into my mind who kind of push my back to this job right now. And
Mm.
yeah, and also a DJ, if I would say maybe Paul Manton, the DJ Goose, if
Mm.
you've seen.
Yeah, we're
I
familiar
think
with
he
him.
might have interviewed this. Yeah.
Yeah, we've interviewed him, I
Been
believe,
interviewing this
last week.
previously. Oh yeah.
As of recording last week, but for you, the audience, is
Uh-huh.
going to be a few weeks back. Oh,
Oh, okay.
yeah, sorry, you, the audience, a few weeks
Cool.
back. If you go back to our channel, because if you hit the Metaverse Degen name and it goes to the channel, we should still be playing in the corner. You're looking for a goose in a yellow jacket. That's the thumbnail. Sorry.
Yeah. So that goose actually kind of pushed me when I was a bit low.
Mm.
A few actually for a few months ago, I was kind of thinking if I was doing this correctly, or is my job going in the right way. And that goose, well, Paul kind of um made a very passionate advice about my current status right now. And it made me kind of rethink, and also reshape what I want to do um in Vket and also in my future. So I'm very grateful for him to do that. And yeah.
Mm. So, what is in your future for your career here in VR, and what kinds of things are you working on? May I ask?
So for the future, I, I'm not sure. Actually, despite being I just said that I was kind of reshaping my career or my job direction. I think, well, of course, I'm going to be still being involved into Vket as well, but I might, for this year, since it's January, I might start working on non-Vket projects, or maybe as a professional in the end. But I kind of want to expand my knowledge more into the technical and also maybe like the translation way. Um, Back in 2024 and maybe 2023, I was kind of fully involved into Vket and to make the VR economy and community a little bit better. But I might, I'm kind of still deciding what my goal would be. But Paul kind of made the um sort of made it the timing to, well, um make me reshape what I want to do. So
Hmm.
maybe this year, for me, I think this year is an year for wondering stuff and, well, exploring. And yeah,
Hmm. Well,
I think I'm kind of yeah. Maybe I might do wacky stuff in the end, but well, who knows?
whatever it is you decide to do, have some fun with it. Honestly, I'm excited to see
Yeah.
what you do, man. Honestly.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh, so another random question that kind of been buzzing in my head a little bit is VR a good VR and VRChat a good place to learn languages?
Well, actually, I think VR is, I would say, to if you were to start learning a new language, I think VR would be the perfect spot. Since a lot of people, well, one thing that comes into my mind is the VR Japan Tours group, which
Mm.
is so which makes a lot of contents and also, well, tools for inside VR chat for people who want to learn Japanese and, well, of course, the Japan culture as well. There are people, non-official people, non-professional people that make stuff because they want to, for the people who want to know their culture. And I think that's one thing that's very fascinating about VR and VR chat, of course. And yeah, if you wanted to learn something, there will be a community or somebody who wants to teach that as well. So VR, I think VR would be the perfect spot to, well, find and meet and develop your own interests as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm. Well, thank you very much, Negi, for explaining that to us. And I'm going to give the last couple of questions before we start wrapping this up. First is the name used in VRChat. Where'd it come from, and why do you still use it?
Oh, interesting. So you might have the Negi Trotsky. I think it's pretty weird for the English or maybe like the Russian people. Um, this kind of started as like a Japanese joke. Well, like I said, Japanese jokes are very hard to translate, but I'll try my best.
Mm.
The negi is sort of like a vegetable in Japan that's similar to a leek or the long white green vegetable. And when you and Trotsky is of course from the Russian, well, communist or, well, revolutionist, but I'm to be honest, I'm not other communist, so please don't attack me. But when combined negitoro is sort of like a type of sushi where you kind of mash up a tuna fish and put it onto rice, and when kind of combining Negitrotsky and then just shortening it to Negitoro, it becomes sort of like a sushi name. And I found it very at when I first started VRChat, I thought this would be the perfect name, but right now as a professional, I think Trotsky is a horrible name, but I'm kind of still stuck to it. So yeah, you can't change your name and once you start.
Okay. And the avatar that you're in, what made you want to use it initially? Why do you continue to use it? Is there anything about it that means anything to you?
Oh, so I think um back in the past I've used a lot of avatars, maybe short or tall and, well, maybe feminine or masculine. I've used a lot of avatars, but in the end I kind of found this avatar. This avatar, by the way, is named Teiho. You can find it at Booth if you're wondering. This goat avatar, I think this kind of ended up showing my personality at the best, and people kind of, I don't know, maybe I didn't choose it, but kind of just randomly wore this and thought, oh, this is me, and yeah,
Okay.
I can't pretty much explain it, but anyways, this is my avatar for so far.
Mm. Well, again, Negi, thank you very much for your time. It's been an absolute honor to meet you and hear your tale. So
Yeah,
thank you very much.
yeah, very
Yes.
much interesting and everything else like this. Thank you very much.
Hmm. Oh,
Yeah, thank you too for this opportunity. I want to say something weird, but well, never
no,
mind. This
say
is my
something
whole
weird.
story.
No, go ahead.
We like
Say
weird.
something weird if you want to say what we like weird.
Say
We don't have a
something
problem
weird.
with weird.
Hey, no, well,
Yeah.
Oh,
you said you
the
want to say
one
something
thing.
weird. Don't feel
Yeah.
bad. We enjoy it.
Okay.
We
Maybe
enjoyed.
for like the Japanese community who've been seeing this, ここまで見ていただいた日本の方々ありがとうございました。多分これ翻訳されないとは思いますが、ここまで根気強く見ていただいてありがとうございました。ネギトロツキーです。どうもありがとうございました。I
Oh,
just said a thank you for the Japanese community. So
Why does
thanks.
it make me want to buy a car? What he just said.
well, I don't know.
I don't know either. I
What?
don't understand it,
Oh,
but I just go, hey, I want to go buy a car.
oh.
And
So
that's it. I don't
if
know.
anyone in the audience wishes to reach out to you and
Okay.
find you or Vket, where would they go to find you or any of those?
Okay, so you can find my own Twitter or X if you wanted to. It's Negi Trotsky. I also use this for Blue Sky and Mixi for the Japanese community as well. And also if you're wondering, you can just casually jump into me and just say hi or something. I think I'll be pretty around it somewhere related to Vket or maybe somewhere chill with Paul Manton, I guess.
Okay. Well, we'll have all those links for you in the description right down that way, as always. So you can find them, click it, explore, and I would also heavily implore, come to Vket. There's so much cool stuff. I know I was blown away this year, especially some of the worlds they come out with. So with that said, honestly, come check it out. A lot of the old worlds are up, so feel free to come into VRChat, look up Vket, and go explore all the worlds 100%. And with that said, I'm going to ask you the audience member question before we start wrapping this up and close it to give it to Raptor. What is your favorite word and why? And with that said, Mr. Raptor, you know the thing.
You got it. No matter what, folks, no matter where you're from, across seas or any nation, wherever you might be, no matter what your language might be, there's nobody's going to beat my language, and that's known as Raptornese. So we all talk to you later, folks, and have a good one. See you soon.